You want to start a tutoring program in your district or your school? For the next 12 minutes, I will give you an overview of what we call our 4+2+1 matters that you should consider before launching a tutoring program. Today, we're going to discuss the first two. Like Alan said, I will post a link to all of the materials that were shared today at the end of my session. The four primary matters to consider are 1, program design, 2, human capital, including leadership and tutors, 3, tutor training for pre-service training and in-service coaching, and 4, the curriculum. The two secondary matters to consider are the communication plans that you have with students, staff, and parents, and the measurements of success for the program. And the last matter to consider is funding and what happens when the special funds run out. So first, what are the key design elements? When thinking about designing the program in your school, you will have 6 core questions to consider. 1, what grades or subjects should be tutored? 2, which students will receive tutoring? 3, will tutoring happen during the school day or outside of regular school hours? 4, how frequently will students receive tutoring? Meaning, what will be the dosage that each student will receive? 5, what will be the ratio of tutor to student and the caseload of a tutor throughout the day? And 6, how should you pair students with the tutors? So first, what grades or subjects should be tutored? If you have unlimited funds, unlimited tutors and staff, you could envision providing tutoring to each student in your school or district. All students can benefit from personalization. Whether a student is behind or ahead, teaching students at their level is a critical component of effective education. But you don't have unlimited time, space, and resources. So where should you focus? We recommend 2 strategic areas to focus: early literacy and late math, because the research suggests these are the key places to leverage tutoring. Data show that students who are proficient by grade 3 in reading have a 4 times greater likelihood of graduating than students who are not proficient in reading by grade 3. Data also show that students who pass grade 9 Algebra 1 are 4 times more likely to graduate from high school than those who fail grade 9 Algebra 1. So these are the 2 key leverage points in pre-K through 12 education. Second, a meta-study of 196 randomized control trials by a Harvard researcher published in 2016 showed clearly that early grade interventions in reading were more effective than late grade interventions in reading, and early grade interventions in math were more effective than early grade interventions in math. So for those reasons, we recommend a focus on early literacy tutoring and math tutoring for Algebra 1. Second, which students will receive tutoring? All students can benefit from tutoring. One benefit of assigning all students in a grade is that there will be no apparent stigma. All kids receive the tutoring. If you choose a model in which only some students are selected for tutoring, you'll have a scheduling challenge and you might face an initial feeling by students or their families that only some students were selected. If you turn that around, you should tell the students that the school or district had a set amount of dollars to use and pick the students it felt strongly would have the most fun or would enjoy the tutoring the most. Most districts we partner with opt to have all students in a specific grade level or core course receive tutoring. You can utilize the previous year's standardized assessment scores, a diagnostic or entry exam, or students that are repeating a given course to set guidelines or parameters for programming. Next, will tutoring happen during the school day or outside of regular school hours? The top 2 benefits of having tutoring as part of a student's schedule during the school day are 1, consistent, easy access to the students by the tutors, And 2, the alignment with their core class to act as an intervention and reinforcement of grade level standards. This provides access to all students, no matter what their out-of-school obligations are. In the different grade levels, scheduling school day tutoring will look different. For high school students, this can be built in as an elective course, a double-blocked content area course, an intervention period, or an additional core course for credit. For middle school students, scheduling in cohorts that all travel together to each class throughout the day allows flexibility to build tutoring into the schedule. For elementary students, splitting the core course period or using time like guided reading time into small group tutoring sessions allows the teacher to work with a smaller group while tutoring is happening in another room. Next, how frequently will students receive tutoring, meaning what will be the dosage that each student will receive? We recommend that at minimum, students receive tutoring every other day, getting at least 60 hours of dosage. At maximum, provide tutoring every day. We have done studies in New York City and with the College Board in which students receive 40 and 20 hours of tutoring. Real, measurable gains were made for those students, but we would recommend having every day or every other day model for students throughout the year. Next, what will be the ratio of tutor to student and what will be the caseload of a tutor throughout the day? Some people recommend one-to-one tutoring. With very few exceptions, we do not recommend this. The reasons may surprise you. First, one-on-one tutoring is not an optimal use of the tutor's time. In an excellent tutorial, a tutor should do no more than 30% of the cognitive lift, and the student should do no less than 70%. This means nearly three-quarters of the time, the student is working silently or with another student, and the tutor is just watching. Rather, in tutorials of 1 to 2, 1 to 3, or possibly 1 to 4, the tutor can use their time to work actively with the student while the other student works independently. Second reason, we ask students, do you like one-on-one time? They resoundingly say no. They feel pressured and uncomfortable if all the attention is being paid to them for the whole period. They prefer tutorials with 1, 2, or even 3 other students. Third, peer-to-peer learning is an essential element of learning. In a tutorial, students can collaborate, they can instruct each other, they can look at each other's work to find errors or to make recommendations, and they can read to each other. This dynamic is a very useful part of a well-structured tutorial. As for a caseload of an individual tutor, we recommend 2 to 3 students per period, not 1 and rarely 4. So over 6 periods of a typical 8-period day, a tutor can manage a caseload of 12 to 24 students. There are models where tutors work to support 36 students, but in those models, a tutor would be tutoring 3 students live, and the other 3 students assigned to that tutor in that period would be working under the supervision of another adult on a technology platform, and the students would switch every other day. And lastly, how should you pair students with tutors? This sentence is key to all of this work. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Let me say that again. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That is a hallmark of tutoring. Relationships first, content second. We recommend, with very few exceptions, that tutorial pairings stay consistent throughout the year so the tutor can build ongoing, strong personal relationships with the students tutored. Now that we have discussed our recommendations with program design, let's discuss the human capital that you need to launch a tutoring program in your district. First, you'll need to think about where the tutors will come from. Do you have internal staff that can be used during specific periods of the day to provide tutoring to students, such as teachers or paraprofessionals? Are there volunteer or other programs that you currently partner with, that can shift to provide tutoring to students? Do you have a list of retired teachers or school staff that want to stay involved with the school in a different capacity? These can serve as different avenues to source talent from. If the tutors are not coming from school staff, if they are new recruits, how will you select and onboard them? We market our tutoring positions as a service year for recent college graduates that are taking a gap year or might want to enter the education field but are not sure yet. Our tutors go through a rigorous application process in which we assess their content knowledge, ability to receive feedback, and ability to address student misconceptions through a math talk. We have learned that it is easier to coach a tutor on the content than it is to coach them on connecting with students. When selecting your tutors, consider the qualities that are coachable throughout the year versus the qualities that are harder to coach. Next, it is important to think if the tutors are going to be full-time, part-time, or a combination. There are trade-offs to each. Full-time tutors are consistent and give their supervisor just one group to manage. By comparison, part-time tutors create a management challenge with their different schedules or expectations, and their supervisors are managing multiple groups of tutors based on the day or time. Part-time tutors do allow flexibility in who is tutoring and give opportunities to people who cannot make the full-time commitment, such as parents or volunteers. To grow tutors, you'll need to be able to give feedback. If tutors are part-time, they'll have fewer at-bats and will receive less feedback and grow less than full-time tutors. A lot of people ask us how to find full-time tutors. We've been doing this work for 17 years in small cities and large, in good economic conditions and bad, and we have always, city after city and year after year, had 8 to 23 applicants for every tutor position. We did that on a small recruitment budget and with a small but mighty recruiting team. The key is to frame this work as service. It can be a high-paying service opportunity even while it is not a highly paid salary job. Your state and district leadership should issue a call for service, and from that pool, you will find your tutors. And lastly, now that you are thinking about sourcing and selecting your tutors, one of the most important roles is their supervisor. This person provides them with in-service coaching and support and acts as the teacher of record or room supervisor while tutorials are happening. This can be a full-time position that is created, such as our Saga site directors, or it can be an add-on for stipend or reduced classes to a teacher who is looking to gain leadership experience. All things considered, scheduling and selecting the talent are the largest lifts to launching a tutoring program during the school day. Today, we touched on 2 of the 7 matters to consider. We hope that the questions and considerations we posed can start conversations on ways you want to implement a program. Please use the Q&A feature if you have any questions about what has been discussed throughout this webinar, and I will post a link to all of the materials for you to download.